Fofo. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them goats. All from the Fofo and that goat. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the Fofo chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city, you wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And kinda I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the Fofo. This for the Fofo. This for the Fofo.
Good morning, everybody, here on this Wednesday, April 12th. It is Sam Torres from the 440 Sports Show, Ashtabula's only morning sports talk show. Thanks again for joining us this morning. Got some baseball coverage in yesterday. Today we're looking to grab a couple, or not a couple, but trying to grab a softball game in here. You guys will have to stay tuned for that announcement, who we're going to be covering today. It may in fact end up being another baseball game, but we will have some softball covered by myself before the week is over. That is for sure. So yesterday, our game of the day, my broadcast game of the day, really is what it comes down to, was the Edgewood Warriors taking on the Cardinal Huskies, and this one was, opened wide open at the beginning, and toward the end, it really got very, very close, and the game ended up being a really, really good game between these two teams. Now, with that win, so Edgewood and Cardinal both sit in the CVC Valley Division. This will be the final year for that, as those divisions are going to be getting realigned next year with the addition of three teams. Jefferson, Conneaut, and Madison all joining the CVC. I know in football they are going to be putting all of those teams into a grouping called the CVC Lake Division, which will include Lakeside, Geneva, Conneaut, Edgewood, Jefferson, and Madison in that 6-team division. I don't know if that's going to carry over to baseball yet. I haven't heard any for sure on that. I know some of the athletic directors are waiting to get that information as well. But if it does, it makes a lot of sense. I really like the idea of this CVC Lake Division that's getting put together. I think it's going to create a lot of very competitive games. I think it's going to create a lot of interest. I think it's going to create a lot of passion amongst the teams, because these are all teams that are right next to each other. But, this year, Edgewood does win the CVC Valley Division last year, with just a fantastic year. But Cardinals got this kid who is not too bad. By the name of Jake Bean. This kid's going to be a Kent State Flash next year. He'll be trading in his red and black for blue and gold, and heading over to Kent State, and he's going to pitch there. And they've got some other guys that are really good on that team as well, including a young man by the name of Soltis, and their shortstop is really solid. And this ended up being a game, like I said in the very beginning. Edgewood jumps up to like a 7-0 lead, or 7 or 8 nothing lead there early in the game, and then toward the end, Cardinal starts chipping away, and by the end of it, it was 5-8, and they end up having to call in some relief pitching. Edgewood has to end up calling in some relief pitching to kind of get the day done. But I think the biggest, not surprise, but the biggest part of the game for Edgewood yesterday was their bats. their bats were working better than they have in a couple weeks. So, um, I think I might be having some volume issues. Let me double check this. Thank you for reaching out. Um, I don't know what's going on here. Let's try that and see if that doesn't help with the volume. That and see if that doesn't help. That should fix it. All right, good deal. Anyway, like I was saying, so that game ends up being a really good game from yesterday. But I got our player of the game yesterday was the birthday boy, Tony Hall, who turned 17 years old yesterday. He had a day. And again, we talked about their presence at the plate. Everybody was hitting. Tony Hall was right there in the mix, getting a couple RBIs in that game. And we were able to get a post-game interview with him yesterday. And I'm going to push this out right now. All right, folks, I'm here with today's player of the game, catcher Tony Hall, the junior, on his birthday. Going to go out there, go 2 for 4 at the plate with 3 RBIs and get some big-time blocks. How was it going out there on your birthday today?
It felt good. We thought that they were going to pitch Bean today, which is like one of the better pitchers in the state. We were ready for him because normally we rake him. We do pretty good against him. But they pitched probably one of their 3 or 4 pitchers, and we did another good day. Bounced back from yesterday. Yesterday was a sad day, for sure. It was not a good day for me. And I can say that for the rest of the team. We definitely had a lot to work on, and we bounced back well.
Well, yeah, and you guys are going to get a chance to kind of replay this game as you're heading over to Middlefield. One of the things we've noticed about you this year is your hitting has really improved. How much time and effort did you put into that?
I say the off season that was my big goal because I know my defense as a catcher is pretty well. I have a stronger arm. I block balls, I would say, better than a lot of people around here. And I do want to go do this in college, so I think my big off-season goal is hitting off the tee as much as I possibly can, get the outside pitches better, and get my bat speed up.
Well, guess what? We're going to get to see you, but I'll tell you what, for your 17th birthday, you guys are going to get a 8-5 win and sole custody of that top spot in the CVC Valley. Yes, player of the game here, Tony Hall. Thanks so much, buddy. All right, that was Tony Hall, the junior catcher from Edgewood, and it was really it was a fun night. It was a fun night getting to watch these kids, and what better way to have your birthday than to go out there and take leadership in the conference. And granted, it's very early. I understand that. It is very, very early in the season, but it doesn't ever hurt to be number one. This Edgewood team right now sitting at 5-3, with some pretty big wins under their belt already. And I'll tell you another team that really is starting to, that win looks even better now for Lakeside. As Lakeside was able to go there yesterday and get a big W, and they turn around and beat Cardinal, who's a very, very good team as well. So in that Valley division, you got Cardinal, you got Edgewood, you got Kirtland. All 3 of those teams are going to be kind of fighting for the top, and Edgewood's doing their best to kind of separate themselves from that pack. We had a lot of baseball yesterday, and we had some of our crew members, some of our broadcasters following the teams down to Myrtle Beach. And I hope those guys are having an absolute blast, because it looks like fun down there. And getting down there, I think that's one of the coolest things is, even though they're on essentially a week-long road trip for some of these teams, they're still going to get that hometown flavor as YSN's following them down there, getting these games covered, a familiar voice, when you're taking on some of the best teams in the country, honestly, in this big Myrtle Beach tournament. And it's just really, really cool. But let's go over to our scoreboard from yesterday. Now, we're going to start off with a pretty darn big game, as Akron St. Vincent St. Mary is going to fall to Louisville, and Louisville is really, really making some noise this year again. They have beat some very big schools.
They have beat some very big schools over there at Louisville. This is a team that I think many are predicting to compete at the state level throughout most of the year, or at the end of the year, excuse me, and probably run deep into that tournament. And Louisville has been tested early and often, and they have a passing score, we'll say. You know what I mean? They've gone out there, they played some of the biggest and the baddest, and they continue to win baseball games. Ursuline going to go 11-1 over Columbiana. Columbiana finally getting taken back down to earth by the Ursuline Fighting Irish. Columbiana has been as hot as anybody over the last few days, or over the last week. Hubbard going to get a 6-2 win over Niles. You got Jefferson falling to Lakeview, and we've talked about Lakeview. This Lakeview Cortland team, I think, is a lot better than people realize. That NE8 is going to probably be a big fight between them, Poland, and South Range. And it's a crowded top with 3 teams that good. Somebody's going to have to fall off, and we're going to see who it's going to be. Lakeview's already beat South Range once this year. You got Minerva falling to Salem 11-1. The game I covered, obviously, over there, 8-5. Edgewood going to win and jumping into the driver's seat in that CVC Valley division. Canton Central Catholic going to fall to Akron Hoban, and Akron Hoban, another one of those teams that they're expecting to compete at the state level. And imagine that. They have a second place football team in the state. They have a first place basketball team in the state, and now their baseball team is competing at the state level. Hoban really got it going on over there. You got Chalker and Heartland Christian. Heartland Christian going up 10-0 on them. Crestview 6, Brookfield 4, Garrettsville 2, Champion 8. LeBray going to get a 2-0 win over Newton Falls in a very tight one in Springfield, going 12-4 over Waterloo. You got Struthers and Girard not reported yet. Oak Glen going to fall to Edison 11-10. And Pymatuning Valley, holy smokes, the Lakers turned the offense up to 11. 17-0 win over the Conneaut Spartans, and a 21-3 win over with Western Reserve beating Sebring. Now we're gonna get ready to talk about some softball, and I want to let you know that yesterday we had an upset special right here in Ashtabula County. And we'll get to that very, very soon. South Range going to go 3-0 on Anderson. You can find that one on YSN Live, and that's also available on Facebook, as this South Range is one of the teams that is down in that South Carolina tournament. So very cool to get to see some of that. Austintown Fitch 17-0 over Bamberg. And it looks like Fitch had more of the Bam than Bamberg in that game. Fitch really does have some of, one of the best pitchers I've seen in softball. They've got one of the best in the state in Watts. And I'm really, really interested to see how far they're going to go. I don't know too many teams that are going to be able to get into Watts when she's in the circle. And how many teams are going to be able to put up significant runs against this Austintown Fitch team, because behind Watts is a solid defense. And that was one of the things we talked about on the Diamond Roundup this week with Anthony Hartwig covering the softball side. He talked about, Watts didn't have her best game last week, and they still won like 6 or 7-0 because that defense is iron. So, they've got a perfect mix of bats and defense, and Austintown Fitch could very well make big time noise on the state level, deep into the tournament. And I know we're early in the year, but this is where, the season during the year is like building a house. And right now they're putting down the foundation. We're at the point where we're starting to get the walls up, and pretty soon we're going to have a full house built of this baseball and softball season. We got Jackson Milton, who's going to fall to McDonald. McDonald is absolutely solid with their pitching as well. You got Champion versus Garfield. Champion softball 14. Garfield 0. Campbell Memorial going to go 9-7 over Liberty. Hubbard going to that game for some reason is not reported. And this is the one right here. This is the upset special. Poland beating Jefferson. Poland softball has been absolutely on fire. I don't think they had any losses coming into this game. Jefferson has had an EKG-like season so far. There have been, peak highs and some peak lows. Jefferson's one of those teams. They can really knock the ball around the park too. And they showed that yesterday as they get a 15-1 win over Poland, who is really, really good this year. So upset special right there in the county. Congratulations to those Jefferson young ladies as they get a game that I don't think many people thought they were going to win. LeBray going to go 11-0 over Newton Falls, and United beating Leetonia 22-0. Western Reserve 21-1 over Sebring. Southeast is going to put a big one on Warren JFK, 19-0. You got Springfield going 9-5 over Waterloo. Girard and Struthers has not been reported yet. Crestview going to fall to Brookfield 10-0, and South Range going to fall to Aner in an airtight, a close one. This game was called by DJ Yoakley. It's definitely worth going out there and checking out because it was a good game. They're going to fall there 7-6. So that's going to be your scores from yesterday. Now, when we come back, we're going to we'll cover some of the stuff that's going on later on this week. I want to talk a little bit about the boxing and stuff like that, but we're going to go to our first break first. So this is the time of the show where I'm going to remind absolutely everybody that the 440 Sports Show has no sponsorships yet. There is opportunity, and it is knocking on the door. This is a great way to advertise right here with YSN. You're going to get your company, your product, your passion in front of almost 70 high school communities. Almost, there's a lot. There is really a lot, and this is a great way to do it, and you should be able to contact me on any of the social medias, and you can also contact DJ or the YSN crew directly on ysnlive.com under the Advertise tab. So I'm not going to go on and on and on about it, about how much of a difference you're making, but it's also a great way. It's also a great way to help the kids out as well, because all of the sponsorship and ads go directly to continuing these broadcasts. So, all right, we're going to go to our first break, and I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn.
Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists.
Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats.
Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
All right, thanks for joining us here again on Wednesday, this April 12th, here on the 440 Sports Show. All right, good. Our sound is good. Going to go over some of the games that are going to be on the network today, and this is going to be subject to change, as we will have, depending on rain, there may be some additions, some subtractions, all that good stuff. That's how it works. We're a pretty fluid, like Bruce Lee would say. But we are going to have, on the baseball side, we're going to have Brookfield at Badger. We're going to have Struthers at Lakeview. Those are both 5 p.m. starts. You're going to have Austintown Fitch taking on, now bear with me here, Waccamaw, I believe is how it's pronounced. That's going to be at 3 o'clock down there in that Myrtle Beach tournament. On the softball side, you're going to have Austintown Fitch taking on Greenbrier. You're going to have South Range taking on Chira. PV going to be taking on Howland. That's going to be right here on the network. And then Ursuline versus Aner, also on the softball. At 5 o'clock today, also, we're going to have Lakeside at PV. That's going to be the game that I'm going to be covering today. Heading over to Andover, assuming, first of all, we don't have any rain and everything works, and they're playing at 5 o'clock, because I will tell you, it's very, very difficult to get those games started or those games covered for me personally if they don't start at 5 o'clock. So we're going to have that Lakeside PV matchup, and PV coming off of a big win, and guess who else is coming off of a big win? Lakeside yesterday. Or not Lakeside yesterday, but Lakeside on Monday. So, this is a pretty good county matchup right here, although PV stands in the NAC and Lakeside in the CBC. These are both Ashtabula County. These are both Ashtabula County teams. So, they're bound to meet at some point, and today is going to be the day. So that'll be right here. That'll be right here on YSN Live. That's a 5 o'clock first pitch. So, we'll be covering this one. It is big. Who's going to be on the mound for this one? Sometimes in these non-conference games, the coaches don't necessarily pitch their number one arm. So is it going to be Alex DeSalvatore? Is it going to be Caleb Stitt starting? Are we going to get, who's going to be on the mound here for the PV Lakers? What bats are going to get going for the Lakers this year? Is it Ty Vickery that's going to be able to get things started? Is Sharp going to be able to get things going? They've got a lot of talent over there on that PV side. So, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see, where this game goes. This is going to be a pretty good measuring point, I think, or a measuring stick for both teams. Again, PV coming off a big win over a pretty good team over there in Conneaut yesterday, getting 17 and not allowing a single run. Lakeside getting a good win over a pretty darn good team in Edgewood over on Monday. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where this game's going to go. I know this is one of the ones, PV and Lakeside, that matchup has turned into a pretty premier matchup over the last couple of years. in doggone near everything. Whether you're talking about football, whether you're talking about basketball, PV, that's one of the matchups that everybody has wanted to see. PV obviously a much, much smaller school than Lakeside, and PV overall is just a much smaller school. But they find a way to compete with all the big dogs around the area. PV is never out of it. So yeah, we'll be covering that one. That's a 5:00 start time right there in Andover. That'll be a fun game to get going. I am looking forward to that. Make sure you're checking out, over on the Instagram page and all that good stuff. We've got, the power rankings, the starting 9. We've had a couple people who have submitted some players and some statistics and that sort of thing for the starting line. We appreciate you. It's all getting thrown into the into the aggregate, and we're trying to make sure we get everybody in there so everybody's kind of considered evenly. Putting that out there this week, we'll be unveiling another Power 20 for both baseball and softball, another starting 9 for both baseball and softball, that being on the Diamond Roundup. At some point, we're going to get some of these announcers to jump in on this on this Diamond Roundup and join the fun to get their perspective on the teams that they've been covering. But right now it's me, Steve Leslie, and Anthony Hartwig, Sunday nights at 7:00. It's your primetime weekly review show right here on YSN. Now, this Saturday coming up is going to be a busy one. Along with 2 baseball games, we're going to be going to cover boxing as well. Now, over there at El Jalapeno inside of a heated tent in Niles, Ohio, we are going to have the Fight to Unite. Now this is going to be super fun. Fighting for autism, the Fight to Unite 4. It's going to have right around 20 fights there at on this event, including Zion Hensley. And Zion Hensley, anybody who has been following boxing over the last couple would know that this girl is she's a junior Olympic champion, a Gold Glove girl. This is a girl I think we're going to see in the Olympics very, very soon. A very, very talented young lady who in the boxing ring. She's going to be fighting on there. We've got some other kids that are going to be fighting. We've got some adults who are going to be fighting. And then the part that I'm really most excited about is I'm going to get to call this boxing match with Elvis Torres, who's a very talented graphic designer out of the Cleveland area, as well as a boxer himself, spending some time in the amateur ranks with quite a few fights under his belt. We got a chance to call this for the first boxing match, call the boxing matches together for the first time when we covered our first boxing match here on YSN with the 440 team. We covered the Night of the Gladiators over there at the Mount Carmel Community Center here in Ashtabula, Ohio. That night featuring Azari A.Z. Moreno, who's one of the top peewee boxers in the country, traveling all over the place. And we brought in, there was a lot of great fights that night and, a beautiful turnout. And I can't wait to see what, El Jalapeno and down in Niles with the Youngstown Salem Boxing Club being so close there. And, Youngstown in general really has kind of a rich boxing history. I mean, there are a ton of world-class, world champion fighters from there. You talk about Kelly Pavlik, you talk about Ray Boom Boom Mancini. These boxing has really got its teeth in Youngstown. So I'm really excited to see kind of what the turnout is going to be for this. I know that there's a big love for boxing in that area, and I would love nothing more for these kids as well as, for the cause than to absolutely sell that place out, pack it to the rafters to see a great night of boxing. $25 general admission, $400 for the ringside tables, but those seat 10 people. So it's a pretty darn good deal there as well. This is going to be happening on Saturday, starting at 5:00. I'll be covering this with my cousin and boxing, my boxing cohort, Elvis Torres, coming on this one. And I just cannot tell you guys how excited I truly am for that upcoming event. I just think it's going to be a ton of fun. And for a great cause. We've talked about this for the last week, how much autism kind of affects millions of people around the world, you know, whether it's the people who actually suffer from the ailment or the huge support system that they need to kind of help them thrive. And, you know, a lot of these kids are very, very lucky, but, you know, I will tell you with medicine, nothing is free. So anything we can do to support any of those causes is great. You know, because it's a disease that in the last 10 to 15 years has really had some more light shined on it. I think there's been a heavier research into it. Treatment options are starting to go. I think it's getting diagnosed more often simply because they know more about it. So, you know, when you really look at kind of how often families and people are affected by autism, it's really incredible. Like, it's shattering to think. But that's what we got going on Saturday. I want you guys to, you know, keep sharing. The graphic's been shared a couple times on Instagram and Facebook. Keep sharing it. Make sure you guys tune in. We will have some baseball early in that morning. We're going to try and get both of those games covered. I'm not sure exactly if we're going to get both of them, but you will get at least one. I can tell you that for sure. But today we're going to be heading over to Andover. First pitch, 5 o'clock for Lakeside taking on PV at PV. That's going to do it for today's show. When we come back tomorrow, we'll be reviewing that game as well as all the other games happening in the area and all the other games happening on the YSN label. This is Sam Torres. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads. Got a whole county full of them goats. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really doubt it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.